Beautiful Adventure Destinations presents its new terraforming vacation package. Travel to the once hostile but now hospitable LV-426. Enjoy our off-roading day trips to a crashed engineer ship. You can even bring home a souvenir for the kids. Visit Hadley's Hope, home to the only structures on the planet. We're in trouble if anything happens to this place. LV-426. It's mostly free of acid-blooded aliens. Mostly bad travel. Ask about our artificial person half-off special. Right, Bishop?
I always use bad travel.
Disclaimer, terraforming is not an exact science, and oxygen is not guaranteed. Weyland-Yutani does not accept liability should anything happen on the way to, during, or departing LV-426.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, pets, goldfish, parakeets, stuffed animals, and everything else that you call friends and family. It is
That's all I call
Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, and we are live here on SKN. If you missed this past Wednesday, a bit of a rebrand. I hope you enjoy the look and feel tonight. Well, we are talking about the biggest news to hit the toy scene since, tariffs 2 weeks ago. But it is about Hasbro, Marvel, Star Wars back in business together once again. We're going to talk about the impact. Is it a plus? Is it a minus? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Plus Predator. Every week there's a Predator. What do we think about this Predator? Well, Badlands, we're going to talk about that. Plus, much more. Toys, plastic, comic books, Star Wars, you name it, we got it. Stay tuned. This is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink.
ink. Why'd you guys spell ink that way?
Whew. That just fires it up. Fires me up. Hey everyone, welcome on in. Before we go any further, hit the subscribe button. We want to hear your voices in the comments. We appreciate you tuning in, whether you're watching live or you're watching not live or not alive. Well, we're here for
Either way, we're
Either
in
way,
it.
If you're a
we'll take
zombie,
these.
just go for the views, please.
If you are a zombie, we have lots of zombie content. Take a look at the back catalog of SKN. We talk about greatest zombie films. I want to get your opinion. So, without further ado, let's go to Mr. Storm. How are you doing this fine evening?
Doing great. How's everybody else doing? Ready to get fired up on these topics?
Love it, love it. Dr. Brantley.
Doing good. Loving Andor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Andor, I don't want to spoil anything, but that first episode, I'm like, that's a great start. Chet Maddox, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good. I have been looking forward to today because I love the topics we were talking about. Yeah, I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a good show.
Yep, I agree. Well, let's jump into things with the biggest news of the week. There was a lot of talk and discussion of whether or not Hasbro would retain the license. As we once learned just a month ago, McFarlane and DC did not come to terms. And so there was this big question mark. Would Marvel and Star Wars the license retain with Hasbro? And they did announce an extension with Disney. So we've been talking about it a lot on Toybox Chronicles every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time on this channel, as well as here on PPI. Lots of really great things that have happened in both of these franchises in terms of toys, including a latest unbox, pretty exclusive. I don't know, Chet, how you got your hands on that collector's box, but what do you all think? This extension, is it good or bad for the toy industry? Are you excited? Let's start there.
Yeah. Everyone talk at once. Now look, I get the Indiana Jones figures from Hasbro, so I enjoyed those. They're doing a good job with they're doing essentially the same thing with the Star Wars and the Marvel line. They're very good figures. I just wish they had kept the Indiana Jones going.
Well, there's only so much indie they could do, man.
There's plenty. They didn't even touch Crystal Skull, but
here's
no
the
one
thing.
did.
We knew for a while that there was a good chance of this happening, though, but I thought it was minimum because I knew that Hasbro, outside of G.I. Joe and Transformers, they're known for the Star Wars series, whether it's vintage or not, even through the acquisition of Kenner, which they kind of got a legacy on. And I just thought that they were going to pay what they need to pay, because really, outside of G.I. Joe and Transformers, it's their two recognizable franchises. So I couldn't see, and also them jumping over, like everyone said, where McFarlane was in it. I don't think McFarlane had the cachet or the cash to actually take it over from them. It's nice to see where it's going. Now, here's the thing. Every time they get that contract, that means it ups the prices. So, they've got to pay more money back to Disney. And I'm sure that we'll end up having to pay that or recuperate that somehow. But as long as they don't do stunts like this Maximum Hulk and too many of the other stuff, I think it's good. Last year, Chet and I will both tell you, I thought Marvel Legends was damn near probably the premier line all year long. It stays where it needs to stay. They're doing a great job. The Star Wars team is behind the scenes. They're doing a great job. The Marvel Legends team is out there forefront. They are very good representatives. I think it's in good hands. I'm glad it didn't change hands.
Yeah, look, I think I'm with you. I think Marvel Legends really, like, if I was to say that there was a line that killed it last year, it would have to be the Marvel Legends team. However, I am curious as to what's going on the Star Wars on the Black Series team, and just like on the Star Wars team in general. Because the Ronin box, I know that apparently they had released something with the colored version of the Ronin, but that box that they had, that's like some next level packaging. And so also I didn't really do too much in terms of like in depth on that figure, but the wiring and everything else. So I think that figure and that set, it's one of the ones. I don't really buy a lot of Star Wars, and if I do, it's usually like Sith related or something else. But this was one that I'm not gonna lie, I took it out of the package and I was like, yeah, this is a very well made figure. And if they're gonna continue down that path in the Star Wars line, I'm excited. I think this is a good thing. I think that there would have been some delays had it not been with sticking with Hasbro. One of the things that I do find kind of exciting about this, so there's two entities that are part of this deal. One is like obviously Disney Entertainment, and that's all of the the action figure stuff and Marvel and all that stuff. And then there's Disney, which is allowing licensing of all of the Marvel characters, past and present and future, to be on Magic the Gathering cards. And this is what I'm excited about the most, because I already know how to play Magic the Gathering, and the fact that it's just going to be a Marvel line. Whenever this is released, will be one that takes up a majority of my money. And I don't like Magic now. I like the game. I still play it. I play Commander more than I play anything else, because I think the rotation is a money grab and bullshit. But the unfortunately, the fact that it's going to be Marvel on Magic cards, yeah, I'm excited about it. I think it's good. And I think that there's a lot of potential behind everything that happened with this. And I'm with Thunderous Storm on this. I think that while it would have been interesting to see McFarlane grab the license, there's been rumblings and talks about why Mattel didn't keep him, meaning that some of the stuff that you hear is like the reach globally wasn't there, but also I have a feeling it has something to do with the fact that for every figure he releases, 37 of them are Batman. And just being real here, Marvel doesn't even release that many freaking Spider-Man figures. So I think that's I think that there's a little bit behind that. And we knew Nacelle wasn't going to get it because they weren't. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. What about you, Rad? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was bound to happen. I think there was a lot of rumors out there, but obviously they didn't come to fruition. It would have been interesting to see like a smaller player take it, but there's no way they didn't have the distribution nor the capability. But imagine a Jada Toys taking on Marvel Legends and what that would have looked like, especially with what they've done with the Street Fighter line. But Hasbro's killed it, both Star Wars and Marvel. I mean, there have been some ups and downs. We could talk about some of the figure failures. I know there's pricing concerns with the new lines, the Max series. It is what it is. Welcome to 2025. It's going to be the same. What I hope does change, though, and it's not just going to be on Hasbro. It's definitely going to be on the retailers too. Is like I hope they could figure out a way where distribution and these figures are more accessible to everyone, and that you don't have to rely on just online distributors. Look, it's a pipe dream, especially with tariffs and all the stuff that's happening now. We're probably not going to see that for some time, but I hope they figure out a way to make it more accessible, because, for us, it's easy for us to go on Pulse and order the figures we want and get them. But yeah. I just imagine if I was an 11-year-old kid, I don't have the same capability, and I want to walk into a Target, or I want to walk into a Walmart, or wherever you're at, and it'd be cool to pick up, a Luke Skywalker for a decent price, or pick up a Spider-Man that isn't, the basic one from the Avengers, the Iron Spider or whatever. I don't think it's going to change. It's just a hope, but I think it's a good thing, because I think Hasbro has been doing a fantastic job, and as a figure collector, I'm glad that they retained the license, and I think it'll be a continued successful partnership. But my hope is that the distribution is better to put more accessibility into other people's hands. I don't think that'll come for some time, but maybe in the next few years it improves.
You know, also the tooling, just because the Hasbro stuff looks good, you don't see the joints and stuff. The McFarlane things have the pins, and they, now that you've seen all these figures without them, they kind of stand out, and it's like kind of, oh, that's ugly.
Yeah, you know, it's
be
funny,
as
it's funny
invisible as possible.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point because Alex and I were in Target like 2-3 days ago, something like
Yeah.
that, and
Mhm.
we were talking about they had their what Superman was that? Which one was that?
That was, trying to think. I think that was the 1940 Fletcher
Yeah.
version.
Yeah, it was. And I was like, look, I love the colors of this figure. Like, I think they're fantastic. I thought it was good, but the one thing that stood out to me, and I told Alex the only reason why I'm not
Yeah.
buying it was because they had him posed, and in the arm you could see the pins, like they were so noticeable. And like, I know that's a thing, and I'm being a like a armchair quarterback on this shit, but at the same time, like, it was one of those things where it's like, yeah, but I have a Superman that you did that doesn't have those pins. So like, and it's not as noticeable, right? That's funny that you say that, because that is like a big thing now. Is like, we're getting used to not seeing pins, and so when you have pins, it's like, did you rush this out because you just had extra bodies left over?
Mhm.
Like, what would it? And you know, the Legends team had that too with Red with Omega Red. They used for Warpath. So you know, it's fine. You got to do what you got to do. But when the expectations are so high like they are normally, then you gotta kind of like, I don't know. So yeah.
But also maybe don't charge the premium price if you're just reusing
So
a bunch of stuff.
that one, come on, man.
You know.
You're asking them to do something that's indicative of the entire industry. Look, they've got the parts laying around. Now that we're in the whole toy manufacturing world, you know, we all know the part where you don't use the mold once, you use it several times if you can get it out of it, and just due to price costs. So I can understand it. I think if you're advertising something where it's supposed to be like something like the Mac Flexure, you should actually advertise that you're using the old body type. You know, instead of saying,
Yeah.
hey, you know, making it seem like you've got new tooling, new heads. Maybe you just sculpted the head. It's fine. Just let us know that you did. It's like the version without the McFarlanes, without the wired capes. You know, there's a version that, you know, is the old version, and there's a new version. But just let us know, let the fans know that, all right, hey, this is a new head sculpt, new hands and everything, but we did take this body from this line of figures and everything. And you know, maybe start letting people know about the economics of toy manufacturing, because again, we know you use several molds several times for certain figures. Just let us know that.
Yeah. All brand new paint.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well, I think overall, it will Hasbro's dominance continues to exist in the toy industry world, but for the independent toy makers, well, we're still grinding it out, and I think there's some amazing toys that are not mainstream that will continue to cross the paths of many of us, including the PPI crew. Moving on to the next topic. Well, it's another Predator. Predator Badlands trailer drops, and well, a lot of controversy around a few of the pieces of this trailer.
Yeah.
Thoughts here on Badlands? Are you excited? Do we need more Predator? We just talked about last week the animated Predator.
Mhm.
Is this too much? Is this Predator overload, or does this feel like this could be something magical?
Yeah, no, I could care less. I don't really give a shit. Look,
Yeah, what would
I-
be perfect is like the red Predator dot on your forehead right now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like a look. I love Predator. Okay. I like the original Predator.
Clearly, I'm not excited. F this. It speaks to your passion.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I try sometimes. Look, it feels like a grab. It just feels like there. I know that there is specifically 1 to maybe 2 entities in charge of a license. And at some point in time, when you're releasing a license, like, yeah, okay, we got it. You got your money. You're getting your money. But like, you should have like a laid out like thing. Like, well, we just licensed this version for this. You can use the license, but it has to be after this, or you can't announce it. And it's just like, man, come on. They're like I feel like Predator is the Batman figure for TV right now.
Yeah.
It's like the shit's just like one after another. And I don't know if you guys have ever there's this dude at Frankensons that has every Predator figure ever made, and you can pick up every fucking box and look at it, and you're like,
I know
these
the
are
booth.
literally
Like I literally know that I know the booth. Like it's just when you
Like-
anybody that's at Frankensons that's watching, it's like, yep, I know exactly what aisle that is.
And I also know that there's at least 50 of them because NECA just released their 50th Predator.
Correct.
Oh my
This is what I'm talking about. Like it's too much. Like which Predator show do you guys want to watch first? Like what do you want? Are you watching the animation? Are you gonna watch the other? Are you gonna watch? What are you gonna go do? And then not to mention that it's like Predator has been so damn diluted over time that it's like, okay, well, I don't get it. And then now you want to tell me that this shit's somehow related to aliens, and this aliens is how it's like, okay, you're just trying to make sense of why you ever licensed Alien versus Predator. Like this is getting to the point where it's like, look, you think NECA's done 50 by mid 2026, they will be announcing their 75th release of a Predator figure, and then they'll use the haulathon again to screw that up, and then you won't get that figure, and then it's like the one I found for Rad. Okay, it was the red figure for haulathon last year. I found one, I grabbed it, sent it to him, and then like 3 months after they released that shit, they released another one in the red box, but just painted different, and it's like, okay, like I'm over this. Like I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's fucking Predator. It's not going to be good. It's going to be boring. The animation style is great. See, there it is. Look at this. There it is.
I mean, it is a sweet. It is a sweet box. I mean,
no, but this was like a one-off thing, and then literally they re-released it in a different color box, right? Yeah. I just don't know if anyone's going to give a shit. And then here's the thing: if the first 2 episodes or whatever aren't good, like then you just wasted all that money. So.
Absolutely, man. I would love to say that this subject was a little bit bright. Look, I think they didn't obviously pace this well enough. If you were going to do the Predator, then I think it's fine. I think also one of the main things too, I think a lot of people were a little bit claiming about the trailer itself, is it looked again like redundant. Like we had seen this in Robert Rodriguez's Predators. It looked very similar to that. And this is by the director that did Prey. Prey had its good points and bad points, but it ignited the fantasy that we were able to get Predator back. And I think it did a very good job compared to the other Predators we had seen previously before. I still think 1 and 2 are still the hallmarks of what you've got to work the series on. But at least Prey jumped over the, Alien versus Predator and all the other stuff that did as garbage together. But this is clearly also a point where every now and then a change is good. I would have loved to see, like we're talking about the director of Godzilla -1. Would have loved to see what he would have done with practical effects in another Predator movie. I would have loved to see a different director step in. I would have loved to see what John McTiernan probably would have been able to do again. It's like you had the opportunity to do something and it just seemed extremely similar. And I don't know, they're missing Chet and I was talking about this earlier in the day, was these were testosterone-based films, and it had a certain audience that ran in the 80s. Somehow they seem to just not understand how to make great action movies anymore. And they come up with these stories where it has a little bit, maybe there's just not enough action and scenes. They're trying to develop too much storylines sometimes, and it just didn't feel right. But this felt a little redundant, but I think it was just too close. Again, last week we were talking about the Killer of Killers, and now we're talking about a Predator within like less than 2 weeks. They've kind of, maybe I understand they've got all the way to November. I believe it's in November that they're supposed to be releasing this. They probably could have let some time build up. First of all, maybe they should have dropped the Killer of Killers in the beginning of the year and then save the rest of the year for this. So, look, I love the Predator franchise. I always want to see it do better than what it is previously done. I love to see an Alien versus Predator movie that was done correctly. You've got all the things here, but now Disney is treating this like they've done the X-Men or like they're trying to do the Fantastic Four. They have maybe too many properties and not enough knowledgeable people to run them properly. So hopefully this is a good, because this is set in theater. The Prey, at least they dropped it at Hulu, and that's, I think, why it was successful. I don't know if they're going to compete in the box office, because Predator movies do not do well in the box office.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't do well, it's just on par with what Disney's been doing with everything, anyways. So they'll be like, "Oh, it's a win."
Well, you said it right there. It's Disney. That's why all of this stuff is being run into the ground. They also own Alien. We just had an Alien movie, and there's a Alien TV show coming up. So they're doing the same thing with both franchises, and I'm sure it's all leading up to, well, now we've got to do Alien versus Predator. And so they're going to redo that franchise. Look, I thought it looked kind of cool. But is it going to make money at the box office? No, people are not going to go see this unless it happens to be amazing. I thought it was cool just because it looks like a very dangerous planet. It's like you drop the Predator off in a planet that everything can kill you, from the plants to the animals and everything else. So, that can be kind of cool. Although I did think that the Predator looks like the main Predator is kind of like if Timothy Chalamet were a Predator. It does kind of look like, oh, that don't look like my Predator I know. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to make money, and they probably spent some good money on it.
Look, I think it's a bit overdone. There's no question about it. If there's nothing else on and you're looking for a popcorn movie and a little bit of violence and some cool looking Predator things, I'd watch it. Am I going to get up, get in a car, go to the movie theater and watch a Predator Badlands movie? No. And I think most people will not. It'll probably do well internationally. Predator is just anything alien, sci-fi, probably do well. But it's overdone. We asked about it last week. I'm gonna beat the dead horse here. Before he is not on this earth anymore, we need Dutch in a Predator film. Please do it before it's too late. Forget the Badlands, forget all that stuff. Give us one more hurrah. Even if he needs to be involved in some sign-off creatively, give us that, please. Or give us an animation with Dutch, and I think tell the story of that group, or post what happened, like something. Whatever it may be, that's what we want. We don't want like, oh, wow, it's a killer of other aliens and these skulls, and it looks like this is from this movie and this movie. Look, all good, but give us what we really want, okay? And that's my ask. Figures are cool, even 50 of them. If I had the money and I have all 50 Predator, there'd be a massive Predator diorama of them all fighting. But I don't have a place to put 50 NECA figures. But I don't think this will do well. But cool cosplay suit. So that's my take. Any last thoughts on a Predator?
No,
Say on to the next slide.
no
Next
way.
slide. Let's move on. Mr. Storm, what do we have next? Oh boy. Well, in the age of Star Wars animation, we have Maul, Shadow Lord. Not much we know about this, right? Like, have we seen any tidbits of like the animation style at this point? Just the actor behind the Maul. But does this deserve an animation? Are you looking forward
Oh
to
yeah.
this? Disney animation is sometimes hit or miss story wise, but we finally get Maul, a more centrically focused story. And did you read anything about? Is this like his backstory, his origins? Is just what about this excites you? Dr. Brantley, we'll start with you as a massive. I know you love Star Wars more than you do Star Trek, so we'll start with you. Oh, did I get that wrong? I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Go ahead.
So yeah, I think this is like all the missing pieces between how he fell down that shaft and then how at the end of Solo he is in charge of the Crimson Dawn, gangster clan or whatever. So this is going to be, I think, for people that may have seen Solo and like, wait a second, I thought that dude died, because there's a lot of Clone Wars that you had to go through to see Darth Maul's actual story, which is fantastic, but I don't think that many people saw it. So this is something a little smaller that the mainstream audience can get into and see like, oh, that guy didn't die. That's great because he was the coolest guy in part 1.
Yeah, I'll say this subject matter, because Chet actually was the one that wanted this slide in. This is one of the few times where it's just so bright. I got to put some glasses on tonight. Put some glasses on tonight. This was a good move. This is giving fans what they want. Since he showed up in the Phantom Menace, everyone wanted to see more Darth Maul. Now, they did a great job through the Clone Wars and through Star Wars Rebels. I think they did a really good job of telling a story, but still, they still wanted more Darth Maul. I think he's a character that definitely needs to be re-examined. I'm glad they're not doing this as live action. I'm glad they are going to use, and hopefully they'll use more of it. I thought the Rebels animation is good. I like the standard Clone War animation a little bit better. Although Bad Batch was similar to that, I just think Bad Batch needed a little bit work on the storytelling for certain seasons. It wasn't as a whole a great series, but it had its good moments. I think this, if you keep this as a limited series, don't drag this out to like 3 or 4 seasons or anything. Give us one whole good season, or maybe like 8 episodes, and just throughout time, like maybe show moments where Maul has been like, as like, he, like, again, he falls down the shaft, he becomes the leader, we see things that play out through a situation, and we get some of these pieces and holes cleared up from. I think he's a great character. I think the double-bladed lightsaber was probably one of the most exciting things that happened to Star Wars ever, because people were like, I didn't know you could do that. Well, you can. So
You didn't think it was Kylo Ren's lightsaber?
No way, shape, or form.
Do you think it'd be an origin story of how he came about the dual-bladed lightsaber?
I think that may come in. We may get to see, like, because remember, he was initially the Emperor's apprentice. So we're gonna have to figure out, how did that come to be? How did he meet? They've had episodes where his brother was involved as well, and they brought that back. There's so much stuff that we didn't get to see this character end up doing, that it's really gonna it's really gonna be a smart thing to do this series. It's what the fans wanted. Great job right here. And also, the animation usually does the best job of telling these stories.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a dark side to Moana, because they use the same font. And then I realized that it was like Maul. This is one that I'm really excited about. I love anything and everything that's like either Empire or Sith from Star Wars. And Darth Maul to me was like I think it was such like an impactful character that just wasn't. It was like, here's Darth Maul, and then that was it. And the more and more you got to see in like Clone Wars and like everything, it's just like, okay, there's something needs to happen with this. And I'm 100% with you, Mr. Storm, in that I hope that this is just a really a one delivered package wrapped up nice and neat, and then we can move on to something else, which maybe this could lead into Darth Maul being in other things or leading up to something else. But just I think this is something that needs to be just like a one hit and then move on to something else. I'd be okay with it if it was like extended into like a graphic novel type of thing, but I don't but not necessarily like animation.
I think the one thing that this does is it allows Darth Maul to show up as just a cameo character in some of the live action stuff. Mm-hmm. So now he is dead before The Mandalorian starts. So he can't be in any of these shows afterwards. But if there's anything going before that, he can be in that. Like if they do another Obi-Wan Kenobi series, he would be a great villain to have, come back up against him. Because if you have not seen, it's the Rebels episode with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul, and also in the Clone Wars, the Sauvage Opress, who is Darth Maul's brother. And they have a great episode where they both fight the Emperor, one of the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars.
Hey, you hear that, Sarlacc Digest? Just remember, okay, Brinley's coming for number 1 on the 4th. Okay.
I love that they're doing it. I'm a fan of animation. I know the reason why they usually go animation route for a lot of these different things. I would have loved to see a Darth Maul live action, but I'll take this. I think it'll be pretty good. I'm more of a live action fan, but I think Darth Maul, if you're a Star Wars fan, Darth Maul, but I think this might introduce this character to a new generation, since you'd had to watch some of the older films to really get a sense of who he is. To Dr. Brantley's point, he hasn't made any cameos. He's not in the Mandalorian series, and so I think this I could see a lot of figures and a lot of cosplay Halloween costumes with Darth Maul once this series hits. So I'm excited, and the future may be bright with a lot of the things that Star Wars produce. Andor is on the right track. This last the last Goonies style Star Wars, what the hell would the name of that series was?
Skeleton Crew.
That was pretty good.
See, he might be able to show up in Andor.
Yeah, he can.
So you never know what Tony Gilroy has in store for us.
Incredible. I will just say that would be incredible. All right. Well, Star Wars, we're talking Star Wars figures. We're talking Star Wars animation. And we're going to talk more figures as we go to the next topic, which is we got Marvel Legends, She-Hulk. She's looking fit. She's working out. She's got the dumbbells. I don't know about the tariff fee, but she is she's a cool looking figure.
Did you get her?
I did not pick her up. But yeah. Thoughts on the She-Hulk retro?
I am going to be honest on this one. I am bummed out that I didn't get it because I am trying to build a massive Fantastic Four collection. And She-Hulk isn't necessarily like my favorite character, but it is in the Fantastic Four. And so I'm trying to hunt this down. So, but yeah,
well,
I think it's a great
down. It's in 2 spots up here. You got to, you just got to pay $1 or $2 more for it, and not all.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, maybe,
but it is in 2 spots up here.
Well, Chet wants to take his he wants to take his yacht overseas, pick it up, and avoid the tariff charges.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's worth it. It's worth the gas price. Just to save that $2. You know.
Well, hey, it says sold out on Hasbro Pulse, and that's really where I buy all my figures. So
now, look, they weren't going to sell a She-Hulk attorney at law figure So they had to do some Fantastic Four version of her to make this sell. And I have to say, because of the tariffs, I myself, I wasn't going to get this figure, but I was going to get ROM, and I got an email from Entertainment Earth saying, oh, hey, by the way, that's going to be a couple dollars extra because we're throwing on tariff fees, and it might be more. We don't know yet. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cancel that right now. Thank you.
That's why you order ROM from Hasbro.
Yeah. Well, actually, too, I think a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it up on Amazon as well? Chad, I think we were talking about that. It was up
Might
on
have been.
Amazon. But you know, it is what it is. Look,
I just know if you put a Fantastic Four shirt on figures and they're not Fantastic Four, they don't sell very well. I mean, that Wolverine Spider-Man 2-pack that had the Fantastic Four suits, that wasn't a very popular 2-pack. I wonder if She-Hulk will change, especially as the Fantastic Four is on the horizon here. But I don't know if its popularity. I think this one's going to be pretty accessible, to be honest with you.
yeah. Well, first of all, Scott Simpson, hello, Purple Gang Gang, Van Johnson. We see you guys coming in, and saw Van's last comment. One of those. Look, I think this will show up through the Frankensteins. Yeah, you just now saw that comment, right? This will definitely end up at the like Frankenstein somewhere, or some retailers online. I don't think that it's going to be too hard to do. And I see Van hit this point and everything. So that, you know, they probably would have done that if that show would have did better. They
With
definitely
working
would
action.
have done that. Yeah, they definitely would have done that. I would not be surprised. But since the show did do right, they're not going to pay Megan Thee Stallion for that license. But you know, I like the retro packaging. I think that's always kind of cool that they go into different packaging, different situations. This is probably the best version of She-Hulk I've seen. The one that he had come out with the Iron Man retro wave really wasn't that good of a figure. This one looks a little bit better. But again, I don't do these Fantastic Four subdivisions. But I know Chet's really into that. I think it'll be easier to get. And I would always suggest this because we've been doing this on Toybox Chronicles. Look, you know, Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store really need to work their stuff out, because if you're going to purchase this, the smart thing to purchase is to just buy it from either Amazon or to purchase it from Hasbro Pulse, because they're like, well, we don't know about these fees and these situations. Well, you're charging more than anyone else is right now, because Amazon's still $24.99 when items are up on Amazon. They're still $24.99 on Hasbro Pulse. So all of a sudden now they're saying, well, when tariff fees or something, well, from what we've all been understanding, and this is how it goes, and we all knew this was going to happen, I don't think you're going to need to worry about it, because those fees are probably going to end up not as much as everyone thinks it's going to be. It's probably going to work itself out, because we've been hearing that from all other stratospheres. So, you know, but for them to say, well, we're going to add this on and everything, let's just see if the fees don't happen, will they still charge? And I can almost tell you they definitely will overcharge you for both of these, Entertainment Earth and Big Bad Toy Store. They're both going to do that.
Well,
so keep yourself on the pulse of that.
Well, even those sites and probably other sites, if you notice, most of the figures that are in stock have gone up in price.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to help offset some of the costs that they anticipate inbound with figures shipping overseas. So it kind of sucks for everyone at this point, because you're paying a small percent, in some instances, even large percent. I don't know how frequently you all would visit these sites, but you would even go to like clearance or like discount, and you could see that those things are even like not as crazy as they once were, and that was associated with the price hikes. You used to be able to get like a McFarlane, some Batman McFarlane figure for like $5. I think the cheapest now is $10.99, which is crazy, because like that figure is not worth $10.99. So I think it's impacting all. We can spend all day talking about, you know, the cost increases and that, but I'm not excited about this particular figure, and I'm a Legends guy. But for those who are, good for you, man. Hope you pick it up and enjoy it.
You're that
The one
Van?
thing I say I like is the one with the hair. It looks kind of like the John Byrne
Yeah.
She-Hulk, which is nice.
Yep. Well, speaking of nice, Old Guard 2 coming soon to Netflix.
That was a good transition.
Is that nice?
Yeah.
Not so much nice, folks. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts here on the Old Guard?
Look, something's wrong.
Yeah.
If it's not just due to turnovers, okay, at Netflix, something's wrong with this movie if it's taken 3 years since they finished to do the post-production. That means I'm guessing that they're trying to shuffle things around in editing and do a lot of ADR, do as little reshooting as possible to fix something that's broke.
I haven't even
they
seen
put,
the new.
They put this film into AI to do the final edits, and AI spit it back and said, "This is a piece of shit. We can't do anything with it." So they had to actually get humans to edit this film. That's why it's taken so long. And Dr. Brantley rejected it. Otherwise, he could have cut a trailer to make this look like the fucking Avengers Endgame, and people would have shown out, but he refused it. So here we are, Old Guard 2.
Yeah, I think Dr. Brenton is right. There's only one way to describe this technically.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah, this is not spelled well. The turnovers are not. Netflix is still making money. They're still going to put stuff up. 3 years in the ether, 5 years since the movie came out. The first movie was good. It wasn't great. It was good though, but it was lacking something. There was an element that just didn't quite like do it like Extraction or something. But it was a good film. This one, I don't know, but 3 years on the shelf. The only time I've ever heard that there was like the Sixth Warrior with Antonio Banderas that sat on the shelf for like 4 or 5 years, and then Paramount decided to drop it out of nowhere. And they were like, "Look, we got every now and then there's a film that's just out there. The main star becomes a star, and they're like, drop it now." I think that because we haven't seen Charlize Theron in a while. The other actors were fairly not as famous, I will use the term. I think they just were like, where does this fit in? Where are we going to do with it? And now they're like, look, we probably got a summer of lean stuff on Netflix because it seems to take them damn near twice as long to get their rotations of good things in. And they probably said, now's the time to drop this. So, it was a good film. I hope it's on par with the first film. It was a watchable film. There was good moments. It just wasn't a great film. But still was a good, Saturday afternoon film to watch. I hope it's on par with that.
If we had a magic 8-ball, we'd shake it up and it would say outlook not so good for this one. So we shall see. Any last thoughts on the Old Guard 2?
I don't even have first thoughts on it. So
okay.
I don't think you watched any of that.
All right.
I didn't watch any of that shit.
Well, let's move on to the next topic.
And the next topic is, guess what it's time for, ladies and gentlemen?
KN
News.
That is right. From our world to your world. This is SKN News for Friday night. But you're probably watching this Monday morning.
Sorry about that hangover.
Everyone, you know why? It's because everyone's at Stagecoach right now. Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. But if you're watching the playoffs, one of the two. But if you could go back in time, get your DeLorean to go back to Friday night and everything, you should be over on the Four Horsemen's website, and you should order this figure because the future figures are did it already sold out?
It's gone.
Well, you need to go back in DeLorean and go back Wednesday morning and punch in that thing and actually get back in. Well, you're going to buy this through the secondary market, and I will give Van from the Purple Gang because we were on we were doing a Zoom with him, and the question was asked, should I buy this? He was like, yeah, you should do it right now or else it's going to cost. And I know Mr. Maddox went from that point on, ordered it, and he was probably one of the last people. So blame Mr. Maddox if you don't get it.
Yeah. Shout out to Van Johnson, because
But I will
I definitely bought it because of his suggestion.
But I will say what the Horsemen have done though is they released this and they're going to re-release it again because they were cognizant of the people who spent a ton of money on the Dragon and then maybe didn't have the funds for this. So it's going to come out again, another limited time to order through the Horsemen. But what an amazing figure!
Can we give a clap in hand to the Horsemen? Because that just goes to show they give a damn about the industry, and that's absolutely fantastic. Look, the figure is $70. I'm not going to read all this. I'm just going to give it a glance, but it's $70. When you look, and it's one of the reasons why I actually dropped this into the slide tonight was look at all the accessories you get for $70. You know, I've seen like, you know, one where you got like 2 guns and an extra head, and that was all you got. This is how you actually drop when it comes to accessories. The box itself, which Mr. Maddox, and I'm still trying to track down the Anubis figure because I didn't want to buy Anubis and Beset, but he has both of these. This box is to the same level that the box work was done for the Star Wars Black Series Ronin figure. It is a work of art. The Anubis and the Beset one are fantastic box of artwork as well. You want to almost display this by not taking the figure out. It's so good, but this figure is worth taking out. I give them credit. They, you know, we've been fans of theirs. We picked up some stuff. That ATL 25 right now, that's my figure of the year, and I'd be damned if somebody's going to come around and take that title. It's fantastic. I think they do the best sculpts. I think they really think about their fans. They were all very accessible when we went to Toy Atlanta. These are all the things, you hear this, toy companies? These are all the things that you want to be because you feel like you're heard, you feel like you're appreciated, and you feel like that these guys are giving you your money's worth. That's all I gotta say. I know Chet has a bunch to say about this because this character, he was gonna kill somebody to get this.
Yeah, no, I mean there I had to get this figure after talking to the PGG dudes. But I mean, look, the other ones I got when we were there, like ATL 25 is an amazing figure as well. The Barbarian's great. All their stuff is really good, but I do have a pull towards figure Obscura. I think that's more along my lines of the stuff that I really enjoy being produced by Four Horsemen. So you know, it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. You know, it should be good when it gets here. I know that Storm, you and I have been planning out a giant photo op for this, so it's gonna be good, man. I'm excited to see what happens. But yeah, I can't complain about any of their figures. You all you have to do is pick one up, and then you'll realize why they are what they are.
Oh yeah. That ATL 25 is extremely heavy when you hold it, and the difference between that is like I think the weight. I can say like maybe the Hulkbuster or maybe Olden is like the same weight, and you're like, wow, you pick it up and you can tell this is worth something. So you know, I'm really looking forward to that. They do figures a cut above everybody. They are the industry standards, and I think that people are chasing them right now.
Well, and he is a god, so he needs all those accessories.
That's true too. Yeah, you know, it is. But I'm saying, look at these accessories. There's so many of them that you're like, wow, you know, like $70. I can almost guarantee if that's Hasbro, that would have been at least $89.95.
Oh, come on, Maximum Ganesh. Come on, it would have been.
Don't say that too loud. I will say, like, what would pair really great. Somebody at Hasbro was like, "Oh, great idea." Is the Wukong Monkey King that is in the same line from the Four Horsemen. It's been out some time. Super accessible. You could actually get that figure pretty easily. Pairing those together on a shelf, top notch, man. So that figure itself, one of the best figures that I own for sure, and I can't wait to put my hands on this one.
Well, you've got to think about this though. To do deities and gods and everything else like that, like who does that? Like who really sits there and said, "This is I'm going to deliver that"? Because not just across the line from action figure collectors, you have people outside that these deities and gods mean something to, and they have that living embodiment of something well sculpted too. it just fits. Again, I very little have complaints with the things they've done. I know a lot of people were bitching about the Big Bad Toy Store and the Dragon thing. That wasn't them. That was a Big Bad Toy Store that did it. It just boils down to, I think they really think about their fans, and that to me is really what we want all these companies to start doing a little bit more. So again, bravo to them. Think it's a great figure. But out from the Didi that we drop into, oh yes, and everything else like that, a cult classic and everything else like that. I don't know if you can use the term classic, but we'll say cult. It's one of my favorite film
classic.
series.
You can use the word classic.
Okay, good. But Tremors. Now here's the thing. Now, Dr. Brintley and I know this, being in the film industry. Every now and then you have a great movie idea, and it goes to a studio, and the studio attains it and does what they want to do, and they push out the people that were the original creators or the original production house that was doing it. And this story brings a little bit of heart to us, because the actual team that created Tremors and the Stampede Entertainment, they actually attained the rights back from Universal. And now they also Meeks, it is my jam too, bro. And they now plan to expand on the franchise. As a discussion, a return to Perfection, which, if you don't know, Perfection is a town that they were in. But Stampede said it's a nod to the desert town which the Tremors are set, and one or two more outlandish ideas featuring the Graboids. That's right, damn it. Everything. Look, there was the original 1990s movie. There were 5 direct-to-video sequels. I've never seen the 2003 television show that actually had Kevin Bacon return.
So good.
And then
So
Tremors, Shrieker Island, which was the last one that came out in 2020. I have seen all these. I remember it was somehow they were like, it was back in the days when it was on like a Voodoo. I think now it's Fandango or something. They had a couple of movies, and I was like, I didn't know they made a part 3 and 4 to this. And I started watching it. From that point on, I kept watching them. Michael Grossman is fantastic in these movies. It is a classic sense of just a Saturday afternoon. This would have been on Elvira's Mystery of the Dark film series.
I have to say, I want everyone to record the time here. Okay. Yep. 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern time on April 25th, 2025. The 2003 Tremors TV show and So Good was used in the same sentence by Chet Maddox. Just want to put that on record. Those have never merged.
Putting this on record does more detriment to you, my friend, because I take it that you haven't seen that movie.
No
TV show.
I'll just say this: it's
not so good. I promise you, it's not so good.
You got a Saturday afternoon. Put on some of the movies. Michael Grossman is fantastic. There's even a movie with Jamie Kennedy, which I was sat on a panel with him and Shaquille O'Neal. And actually, you know what? It gave me a better appreciation because he was a hell of a lot funnier than I thought he was. But the films are fantastic. They're just great. Like, sitting on. They're cult movies. They're C movies. They're trying to be B's or A's. They're just trying to entertain you. Michael Grossman is by far the best part of all of them.
Look, the only thing I think that's better than Tremors is probably the Langoliers. Okay, Langoliers.
Oh, jeez. Really? I was going to go with the Tommy Knockers.
No. That's up there, but the Langoliers is epic as well. So if you haven't seen that, it's almost better than Tremors.
Well, here's the thing. Look, they're the ones that started. They're Tremors, the first movie. Whether you've seen it or not, most chances are you probably saw it. It was really interesting, really fun. It was something out of that we had zero expectation from, but it did fall into the cult status. Every now and then, a film like that or Highlander or some other film just goes beyond. And Meeks actually understands your joke too, Dr. Brentley, or actually Chet, which is actually hilarious too on that one. I actually have not seen that movie, Chet, so I'm gonna have to go back and I'm actually have to watch that now. Not just saying it.
Look, first of all, Richard is very happy looking down on us going like, oh yeah, I got them to look at all these terrible movies.
Watch it in honor of my friend.
Listen, okay, if Richard was here, he would agree with me that
Yeah, he
the
would.
TV series
And that's not
Tremors
something
is
that you
great.
should cling to. Okay.
What?
So I'm gonna say,
Uh,
Oh, here we go.
if I walked into a theater and on one screen was the movie we're referencing, and then The Last Temptation of Toxic Avenger Part 3, I'm grabbing my Toxic Avenger popcorn bucket. That's how bad that was. So I don't understand where So Good was. Alexander Storm, you must have been drunk, or maybe your glasses were too dark at the time. Dr. Brantley, are you? I don't know. I'm not sure.
He might have had a
dimension I'm
contact
in.
high. I don't know what was going on.
That was not a good attempt at a Tremors franchise. The original 1990 cult classic, really good, but anything after the fact was not great. So
The second one wasn't terrible.
See 5 and 6? Did you see any of the ones after?
Didn't make it to 5 or 6.
So, like I said again, I think only myself and Mr. Maddox can speak on.
Okay, my hand only reaches so far in the DVD bin at Walmart to be able to get 5 or 6. Okay, Mr. Storm, it only
You don't have to reach it a bit.
You didn't get the Tremor 6-pack. I mean, come on.
There's a 6-pack.
Yeah. Well, anyways, like I said again, great. It's nice that the owners did get it back. I'm sure that some of the films they probably wanted to do things with were restricted. It's going to be kind of cool to see what they come up with because it is a franchise. It stayed around, and look, if they kept making movies, it was making money. So that's always the thing in Hollywood. They're not gonna do that next Yes Meek, the Walmart bin. Everybody's seen the Walmart bin where they have Finding Hemu. It's like, and some grandmother brings the kids like, this is not Nemo. But looking forward to that. But on to the next one. And our final story of the night is going to be with Mr. Joe Quesada. Actually, wow, just took it out of the screen. Mr. Joe Quesada. He is back at Marvel with Christopher Priest. And if you remember in the early 2000s, there was the Marvel Knight series, and that revamped Punisher, revamped the Black Panther, revamped, and actually the Black Panther that we see on screen is due to a lot of the revamps to the Marvel Knight and Christopher Priest's run. And same thing, he reran Daredevil, and chances are, if you looked at some of the later Netflix versions of that, was kind of a harken back to Marvel Knights, where a certain of the ground characters were taken and they were actually reshaped. Well, he's coming back in June. Two industry titans present a new version of the Marvel Universe and Marvel Knights, The Worlds That Come. Both founding creators behind Marvel Knights, Mr. Joe Quesada and Christopher Priest, reunite alongside colorist Richard Isnor. And they were all new epic through the lens of the groundbreaking Marvel Knights imprint. It's a future set in a 6-series. So what they're doing is they're introducing different versions of the Marvel Knight characters. It's a series, but each issue is featuring a different one. Issue 2 is featuring what the Black Panther was up to. So I'm sure Daredevil, Punisher, a lot of those street ground characters will get their dues in this. And it's nice that Joe Quesada is actually co-writing this, but he's also drawing this series. So look, I don't know if anybody was a fan of Marvel Knights. I was a fan of what they were doing. But does it sway you any more to want to pick up this series, or did you think their run had kind of ran its course and you're not looking forward to it?
Nah, you won't see me in the comic shop for this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I appreciate what they're trying to do, but I don't think it's going to have the effect that they're looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of been there, done that. DC did it like 30 years ago, so it could be interesting, and it could be somewhere that they would lead the Marvel universe into, but that just depends on if they actually come up with something good, or if it's just a lot of things are, well, let's just make it dark and brooding, and in the future everything's screwed up.
Yeah, well,
everything in the future is screwed up.
We will see, but at least it's no summer-wide kind of like, event series that they done.
No
I'll take
blood
this.
hunt.
Yeah, other than throwing like 30 issues of some crap up during the season, maybe this is good. I might pick up the Black Panther issue, see what's up with that, because I love Christopher Priest. He's not actually doing as many books as he used to. He should be, because the man's a very great writer, and love to see him back. And also, Joe Quesada, when he puts pencil to paper, the guy knows what he's doing. I wouldn't say evaluating artwork, but he does know what he's doing when he's putting pencil to paper. So hopefully we'll see. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what this does? That's the end of SKN News.
Well, as always, Mr. Storm, we appreciate you bringing the latest and greatest in all pop culture to the scene. Again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, drop us a comment, whether you're watching us live or you're watching us after the show's over. We appreciate you coming in each week, supporting the channel. Spread the word, spread the love, share the links, retweets, all the things. We very much appreciate it. We got some exciting stuff on the horizon. I mean, it's just around the corner, Mr. Storm. Big news.
Absolutely. We've got some upcoming events. If you are here in the SoCal point for next Sunday, May the 4th. Now, I know everybody's saying it's supposed to be Star Wars Day, but no, we're taking that. We're taking that. It's May the 4th is going to be Yo Joe in the daytime, and then we'll get to some Star Wars stuff later on from there. But SoCal Joe Show in Temecula, California is going to be, and actually the NBC Suites in Temecula, California. And I would say get there kind of early, because that's the last Sunday of Stagecoach. So, we're going to be hitting some traffic when we go up to better days. But we will be at the booth. We actually have a booth at the SoCal Joe Show. We will be live streaming there. We're going to hit up some, you'll get to see what a vintage toy show kind of looks like. I know a lot of people don't always have the time to travel out to them, and we always get questions, what are these shows like and everything. They're very community based, very entertaining. Like you saw in our countdown, the artist Jamie Sullivan, very talented G.I. Joe and Robotech artist, will be there. We've got some voice actors, great customizers, a lot of 3D printing. There's a lot. If you want a hooded Corporate Commander, that's the place that you go for your 6-inch and your 3 3/4-inch ones. A lot of vintage vehicles all over the place. A lot of new classified stuff. Mr. Maddox can attest to that, because he's done a little bit of pillaging through those events, and he's come up with some major stuff through the classified point. So
Yeah.
it's good to come down. Ticket prices aren't crazy. I'm going to have that in another minute. But once you finish with that, because that show ends at about 3 o'clock, you can drive up the 15 freeway to Apple Valley, see our buddies, the Starlight Digest podcast crew. They will be doing a Star Wars Day event. It will be a Star Wars trivia event and a toy drive. So they're asking, if you show up, make sure you bring an item that's $10 or more for the CHIPS organization, so we can actually give some underprivileged individuals. And there'll be some Star Wars related drinks. And if you come in costume, that helps you. There's going to be prizes and everything to get. I've heard Grand Admiral Fretz is a son of a bitch. If you don't actually win, he gives you some shit. So be ready for that. But we like to say, above me, like in the Brady Bunch, Dr. Brentley holds the number 2 record in the trivia, and he's going for damn near number 1. We've been putting him through all kind of Star Wars trivia and trying to get him ready. And he may even throw in a Star Trek quote just to piss these guys off.
Well, because they want you to come in costume. So I will come dressed as Spock.
We should, just to piss them off, we should just show up in Starfleet uniforms and just do that. That sure that would piss them off. We're like, are we at the right place?
I do have an update, by the way. Stagecoach isn't going to be going on there this weekend. Stagecoach is this weekend.
It will be ended. Okay. All right. Well, then great.
Yeah, it's only this weekend. Yeah.
Then the traffic won't be too bad. But it's Southern California. It's still going to be bad. Let's not lie about that. And then on May 16th through the 18th, you find yourself in North Carolina. You can see our buddies at Uru Toys, which we were with them at Toy Atlanta, and that's Marcellus, and also possibly Deadly Diorama. They're going to be there at Point, and also you can catch up with the Purple Gang because they're going to IshCon as well. So there's going to be hijinks all over the place. Great guys, great event. We wish we could be there, but we were thinking about Joe Fest, so we got to debate on all this stuff over here. But now that you've heard the events, something that just popped up recently that you can see, if you do go to the SoCal Joe event, every year that they've started, they've had this one-off figure that they've done, and it's limited quantities, and this is all handmade, hand-painted redesign of classified figures. So it's in the 1/12 6-inch scale. This is one of the times where it comes with patches probably that you want, other than when you spend a bunch of money on a plane that you didn't want them on. No tier system for this. But this is the Dreadnought Burnout. And this actually, the box artwork, which you can see down here on the other corner, that was done by the talented Jamie Sullivan. And he will be at the show, and I've seen him sign the box and everything. Part about this event, early bird special at 10 a.m. Only cost, or at 9 a.m. costs $10 to get in. 10 a.m. general admission for $5. Great prize. They tell people to show up in cosplay and everything else. So it's really a good event. I've been to it for the last 2.5 years. Chet joined me for the one, I think it was last year, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it's a great time. And we're looking forward to being there. But we thought you'd throw a little bit exclusive in if you stay for the Joe show. Watch us actually get on YouTube live. And then we'll just head up to Better Days and have some Star Wars related drinks. But we'll probably be drinking an ale.
Just to screw with them.
Just to screw with them, absolutely. And so that's our upcoming points. Rad, back to you, brother.
All right. Well, hey, again, we appreciate everyone, and I'm looking forward to all the things. Hey, what a great show. Again, the next live show here on SKN is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time, Toybox Chronicles, Mr. Storm and Jet Maddox. Check out the Ace from Ramen Toys interview that happened this past Wednesday if you haven't taken a chance to do that. It is on the channel. But that wraps things up, and I just want to say, Sarlacc Digest, if you are on or watching this at a later time, Dr. Brantley, he might be ready for the trivia, but you've never seen Rad approach a trivia like this.
Uh-oh.
I'll see you in Temecula. Take care. See you later.
Bandito Radio 112 FM, a streaming radio station for all toy enthusiasts, collectors, photographers, and customizers. Built to match your mood and passion. Music from hip-hop to country and all the rock in between, with host Howlin' Jim Jackson. For a dose of the macabre, there's Myra's Morgue of Midnight Madness. Plus our newest collector podcast, Purple Gang Gang Full Frontal Purple. And Action Figure Frequencies, with your hosts, SKN's own Chet Maddox and Alexander Storm. Bandito Radio 112 FM. Available to stream now on Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube.